Lent is a season that the church has traditionally set aside as a time of renewing and discovering spiritual disciplines. And these disciplines have historically taken three primary forms, that is, fasting, introspective prayer, and almsgiving. The first of these is perhaps the least understood of the disciplines. The popular imagination surrounding fasting during Lent has been taken to understand giving up something that I like, right? Things like chocolate, alcohol, or screen time on our devices. This view of fasting is often treated kind of like an end unto itself, right? And the thing that we give up, we tend to simply resume doing or consuming as soon as Lent has ended. The historic purpose for fasting is quite different, however. Fasting during the Lenten season includes an essential component of self-reflection. It's a time of recognizing the excesses and patterns in our lives that separate us from the love of God and distancing us from living the kinds of life that God desires for us to live. The key to successfully fasting is not only recognizing what those things are in our own lives, but to replace the time and space that they once occupied with prayer and reflection in the presence of our holy God. And this naturally leads us to the second discipline, prayer. I think that prayer probably needs no introduction, but perhaps the most important thing for us to recognize is that prayer is fundamentally, right, making it a priority to listen to God speak to us through His written word and responding to it by asking for God's grace to fill us and guide us as we try to fashion our own lives after its teachings. Fasting and prayer naturally gives way to the third and final discipline, almsgiving, or I think more broadly, action. Because we've made additional space through fasting and prayer to enter into the presence of God in our daily lives, we're left with two options. The first option is to simply continue as if nothing has changed. The second option, however, is both more challenging and more rewarding. Encountering the living presence of the one holy triune God encourages us to respond to the mercy and love which we receive by sharing that same love and mercy with those we encounter in our day-to-day lives. For some of us, that takes the form of giving up alms to help those less fortunate. For some of us, that might mean taking the time to spend with people that we would otherwise avoid due to differences of opinion or our shared history. And yet for others, this takes the form of implementing measures in our day-to-day walk that helps us to avoid falling back into old habits. This might be finding an accountability group for addictions such as pornography, alcoholism, or gambling. Perhaps it means finding time to regularly attend daily prayer and worship services that we would otherwise avoid because, we'd rather spend our time doing something else. Whatever the case is for each of you, I pray that during this Holy Lent that you would not see discipline as a bad word that means giving up the things that you like, but rather recognizing that discipline is the key to identifying those things that you need in order to succeed in your journey with Christ.